The Tiger King. Many of us came to know him through a Netflix documentary series. Turns out the Tiger King was a tiger killer who bred tigers to build his bank account. For that and 2 counts of attempted murder for hire, Tiger King is now serving 22 years in prison. Here is the antithesis of Tiger King's operation, Elmiras Wildlife Sanctuary in Hillsborough County, Florida. It's a retirement home for tigers and a myriad of other wild animals, and it hasn't a single paid employee. That's right. The people who care for all these critters are all volunteers. Here come 2 now. Well, that's an unusual load, but more on that later. Let's go meet some of the residents. This is Chuff Chuff, who we just saw a moment ago. He's mostly Siberian, as is his neighbor, Little Al. All the tigers are the products of breeding, so none has a pure bloodline, but Siberians are the largest of the species. All told, Elmiras is home to 7 tigers. Lexi and Court here are brother and sister. All the animals here are rescues for various reasons, but their stressful lives are behind them now. That's because the criteria to qualify as a sanctuary is strict. A true sanctuary like Elmira's engages in no commercial trade. There is no unescorted public visitation or physical contact with the animals, no removal of the animals for exhibition or even education, and no invasive or intrusive research is allowed. Because of COVID-19, Elmiras has had to suspend their guided tours, but the animals certainly aren't practicing social distancing. All kidding aside, the loss of income from the guided tours is yet another vexing side effect of the virus. Simply put, tours and donations are the sanctuary's only source of income, and there are a lot of hungry mouths to feed out here. One of the biggest mouths to feed belongs to Stanley. He's Elmira's brown bear, otherwise known as a grizzly. But there really isn't anything grizzly about Stanley because he's kind of adorable.
So open your mouth. What do I say? Open your mouth. Come on, open your mouth. Open wide. He says, you don't have any treats. I'm not doing it.
Robin Greenwood is Elmira's director and has been since it began as a nonprofit back in 2005. Stanley came to them as a cub from another facility that was not licensed for bears. That was about 7 years ago.
He's here in Florida. It's hot, and this is not a natural environment for him. And that's why he's got an air-conditioned den box, because this is hard on him. He spends a lot of time in his pool. The vets are actually very happy with his size and appearance. Again, because he's here in Florida. If he was in Montana grizzly, well, then they would expect him to be, a lot more plump and a lot hairier and everything else. Bears are omnivores. They'll eat, pretty much anything. And he gets a good variety of fruits and vegetables. And then he also gets some dog food for protein too. He gets a peanut butter sandwich every day with some vitamins in it. And then occasionally he gets other treats. And what we do, like out there, we'll just take, fruit, grapes and chunks of apple and whatnot. Every once in a while a sweet roll or something, break it into pieces. And then we just, hide it up in all that stuff.
As you might imagine, with over 30 mouths to feed, and many of the animals requiring diets unique to their species and individual medical needs, Elmira's shopping list is very long and large. For the meats, it's off to the closest Walmart. As expiration dates arrive, the folks there put the unsold food not in the garbage, but in Elmira's big barrels in the freezer. Back at the sanctuary, volunteers are readying for the food's arrival. There'll be lots of meat to dress, and Bob Bizzano is sharpening his blade. 3 barrels amount to well over 200 pounds of meat. Bob reckons the job will take him 3 hours or more. Wild animals are accustomed to lean meat, so Bob has a lot of fat to remove. Joan Lawrence has been a volunteer for 14 years. It's her job to separate the different cuts of beef from the chicken and pile it up on the cutting table for Bob. They make this meat run 1 day a week. That's why Sanctuary mascot Brutus so looks forward to Tuesdays. Of course, a lot of Elmira's retirees aren't just meat eaters. A lot like their fruits and vegetables, too. So every Thursday, it's Detweiler's Day. Detweiler's is a big grocery store about 30 minutes south of the sanctuary in Palmetto, Florida. One day, a sanctuary volunteer asked, "What do you do with your leftover produce?"
They do try and, sell, like they'll have a discount bags and stuff like that, but they were wasting a lot of it. She said, well, we got this wildlife sanctuary, and so of course they immediately loaded up her car. And she showed up with a carload of produce one day. But it saves us a fortune. Fresh produce is expensive.
Well, we already know Stanley appreciates it. The lemurs sure like it too. That grape is a perfect fit. For dessert, our butcher Bob Bazzano will be along with his Nutri-Grain bars.
This is Zeb. He's a ring-tailed lemur, and he was pretty aggressive when we first got him.
Bob and another volunteer, Charlie Bruno, do most of the property maintenance around the place. With 14 acres, it's a lot of work. And Charlie's not even retired. He's one of the top painting contractors in the area.
I do it for the animals. These animals are fantastic. This is their last stop on their way off this world, and they're well taken care of. And I've been in love with the place ever since I came here the first day. And we also keep the grass cut down fairly low because of the snake problem. We don't want the snakes to come in. If you keep it low enough, the hawks and things will come in and take care of the snakes.
By the way, you're bleeding,
Oh, that's okay. That's good. That's good, honest blood. That's a little. I can't go near Little Al. He might want a little Italian. I don't know.
And speaking of Little Al, remember the 2 volunteers we saw earlier taking off in a golf cart with some strange-looking paraphernalia on board? Well, that was a couple of piñatas. They were on their way to prepare for Little Al and Chuff Chuff's birthday party.
Hi, sweetheart. Hi, Mr. Chuffington. Oh, my God, uh-oh, what is that? Oh, what's that all about?
At first, Chuff Chuff didn't know what to make of the thing. But next door, over at Little Al's place...
There you go, get it. There you go. Get it, Al, get it. Get it, Al, get it. No.
Chuff Chuff started to catch on. And Little Al, ever the party animal, took his piñata to his pool.
Oh, Little Al, is that your present? You're so happy.
Elmira's Wildlife Sanctuary, where all the wildlife is living life happily ever after. Reporting for Peace Vision, I'm Bob Hite.